Hi, this is Shui with a review of the asics hypergel lyte. This is a typical asics shoe. Yes, they're your grandma's shoes, your dad's shoe. They don't look good, they don't look cool, but as you can tell, there's a lot of tech involved. Asics probably has one of the most dedicated department, or many dedicated departments or laboratories that focus on enhancing the performance features of the shoe. So when you're fixated in performance design wise, you kind of, it takes a back burner. So first of all, the asics logo, it's not designed to be fancy. It's actually an improvement of the Adidas three stripes. Adidas had the three stripes not as a logo, but as a functionality to provide an additional lockdown with some reinforced straps there to make sure your foot is in place. Asics went a little bit further and decided two is enough here, and they instead decided to add additional support this way so that you can prevent, I guess, inversion or some injuries, whether it's this way or that way. So provide dual direction lockdown in some sense. And this continues today, till today. You can see this stripe in the more classic asics models. The classics, as in the Onitsuka Tigers, are the original asics shoes before they became fully dedicated to function. Onitsuka has become more of a fashion shoe more than anything. But still today, you will see some performance wears that's from the Onitsuka line, or rather used to be performance wear. If you watch the comic book or read the comic book or watch the animation Slam Dunk, you will see this shoe being worn in some of the star players there. This is the asics Point Getter. It is with the Onitsuka Tiger line, and that was actually a basketball shoe. And even today, if you wear it, because asics does so much of a better job in terms of coming up with the midsole material, it still feels decent. You could actually hoop in them, and asics was one of the few brands that tapped into improving, enhancing, and experimenting with ortholite insoles. So their ortholite insoles, I guess, like the Golden State Warriors said, light years ahead of many other brands. They've experimented a lot. And as for the gel cushioning, yeah, the gel, it's more of a part of a complementary shock absorption unit in a whole midsole technology. Solite, or they have several other different names or several other different materials they use. Asics' main strength is the kind of different materials they use for the midsole, whether it's in terms of density, whether it's in terms of the chemical makeup or whatnot. So even without the gel, asics has really good cushioning. But the gel is supposed to provide some additional bounce or an energy return, and it only needs to be like tiny. These are kind of like more for support and show. The actual shock absorption gel is like a tiny little droplet here, and you will find that here as well. They have different kinds of gel. They're kind of in a boundary between liquid, as in jelly, and solid foam. They're kind of always like in-betweeners. So the gel, they try to go all out by showing the whole midsole made of gel and whatnot to try and, I guess, be more like Nike Air Max. But that doesn't work out because the gel, once again, is for shock absorption and a bit of an energy return. They're not designed for comfort. So you will feel an issue with entirely gel all around is a lot firmer than shoes that's got predominantly foam material, various kind of foam material mixed for asics with a little bit of a hint of gel inside. So a good compromise would be the hypergel. What they did was asics also, they, again, as I mentioned, they experiment with various materials for the midsoles. So this is the type of pallet that's used to they cook up or chemically process these little pellets. BASF is one of the main companies that provide those pellets to Adidas and Puma. And asics probably don't need BASF. They probably have their own way of coming up with their own chemical compound. But this is very similar to Boost, but it's a lot firmer than Boost. And it actually has bits and pieces of asics gel material shredded and mixed within. The good part of this shoe is that Boost, it's either really thick and really heavy, and it's just too soft on the heel and a little bit too firm on the forefoot. But here, it's good. It's a good balance. There is a certain heel to toe drop, as you can tell. And on the heel, you can actually feel it working. You can feel the energy return of the gel, and you can feel the level of comfort provided by the boost-like midsole material on the forefoot. Of course, there's I guess the effectiveness of this level of cushioning on the forefoot is rather minimal. They're lower to the ground, but still, it's better than most Boost shoes that's either has adequate cushioning on the forefoot and too much sinking on the heel, or adequate cushioning on the heel but nothing on the forefoot. So this is a much better balance than a lot of the Boost models that I've experienced. Even without, ironically, the insole they use is not some advanced ortholite insole. I guess they went to go with the classic. This is a very old model from the 20th century. So they try to pay a little homage to that by using this cheap EVA thick material, and it's very dense. So it's kind of firm. So I thought maybe it won't really provide all that much of a cushioning boost, but it actually works in tandem with this midsole nicely. It enhances the experience. You could experiment with other insoles as well, but even without the insole, you could feel the cushioning working. You could feel the step-in comfort. With the insole, it works even better. So cushioning is interesting. I wish they would continue to update this material and use it for other models. Try and find a better balance, maybe a little bit of a different level of proportion of gel to Boost type of midsole material ratio here, and a little bit of a different ratio here. That will be a nice little upgrade for other future functionality models. This is more like a fashion wear, or a little bit of a retro with advanced, updated midsole technology. So it's a little bit of a twist. I guess you could call it a protro. The toe box area has a nice little reinforced faux leather material there, and the material is kind of like a nylon mesh type of a material, and it's soft and it's breathable. There's very adequate level of reinforcement with leather and plastic for lockdown. The heel cup is kind of non-existent, but the leather around is a little bit firmer, and as you can tell, there's a dual layer of leather and harder material to provide some amount of resistance there. I think the key point for the heel support is that your foot will come down to somewhere here, and these little parts are reinforced and thick enough to actually provide a certain level of a clutching sensation to your foot, to your heel, so it's more firmly placed instead of letting it slide all over the place. All over, the padding is minimal but nice. It does you can wear like low ankle revealing socks, and you won't be scraping your skin and getting blisters or cuts. So it's a really nice ergonomic design. For the size, I went half a size up. It's kind of sharp and narrow. So if you have really narrow foot, you may go true to size. But if not, unless you want a really tight shoe for some strange performance, maybe, but other than that, I would advise going half a size up. The outsole pattern is something that we've seen on a lot of previous Reebok, Adidas, casual models. It is pretty durable for walking and light jogging, but I mean, the grooves are pretty deep, and it's good that the rubber material has a significant level of protruding blocks. So it's going to be durable, but you won't be getting a whole lot of lateral traction. So this is more for asphalt or those sandpaper like tennis courts, or really clean, pristine courts indoors. Other than that, you might slip a little. So for a size 9.5, it weighs about 320 grams. So that's pretty lightweight considering the amount of dense midsole material that's used. I've actually turned to asics when I noticed one of my favorite players, a legendary player in Isaiah Thomas with the Detroit Pistons Bad Boys, wore this, a Puma signature for Isaiah Thomas that was worn in the 89 finals and the 90s finals. And then he actually got a deal with asics, and asics made low-cut basketball shoes for Thomas. But by the time he wore that, he was kind of on a decline. He had 1,001 injuries, and he snapped his Achilles and decided to retire. But he was actually wearing asics while he was on a downward decline, downward spiral, I suppose, when his career was winding down. So the shoe was nice, but I was a little skeptical. But still, Isaiah Thomas had a signature ASICS shoe, so that's when kind of I looked up and tried a lot of ASICS shoe, but there weren't a lot of basketball options out there, so I tried a lot of running shoes, and their midsole material is fantastic, and their outsole is really durable, and every now and then they do something this cute, like a collaboration with the Incredibles, Pixar and whatnot. So yeah, wish ASICS would do a little bit more of that. That should definitely help increase sales.